is a parent party of Bay Hill News Network. We do Facebook Live for church service, funeral service, lecture, sporting activity for more.
Hi friends, what's happening in your corner? Beta group meeting, a sporting activity, a community activity, some upcoming event. Whatever the happening in your corner, let us know. We share it on Concardi Radio. So email us at concardi.radio@gmail.com. That's CANCARDI.radio@gmail.com. We are in your corner.
Senator Chevron John and the New Democratic Party invite you to the grand opening of the North Windward Constituency Office. Join us on Friday, September 27th at 7 p.m. in Mount Bentic, Georgetown. We'll start with a candlelight march from Basin Hole Bridge to the office, followed by an inspiring session of praise and worship. Come dressed in white and bring your own candles as we unite under the theme, Righteousness Exalteth the Nation. Hear powerful speeches from Senator Chevron John, NDP vice presidents, caretakers, and dynamic voices from our youth and women's arms. Be a part of the movement for a brighter future with the New Democratic Party on September 27th in Georgetown.
Boost your brand's visibility with Branding by Weeks. At Branding by Weeks, we are passionate about helping brands gain exposure and make a significant impact. Let us elevate your brand's visibility and reach new heights. Connect with us today by email at spweeks@hotmail.com or message us on WhatsApp 613-866-8939.
Join your host, Ross Bishai, for Stepping into the Light at Bay Hill Online Radio and Concardi Radio. Ross Bishai steps into the light of food and agriculture, culture and liberty. Stepping into the light lifts the level of your self-consciousness, activates your collective security genetic code, raises your earthly vibration. To win in this Armageddon, you must listen to Stepping into the Light with host Ross Bishai.
Island Style Souvenir and Clothing Store. We carry everything you need in souvenirs. T-shirts in all different sizes, cap, keychains, key rings, plaques and banners, magnets, ID holders, mugs, and we even carry St. Vincent flag. And that's not all. We carry Hawaiian style t-shirts and dresses, handbags with matching scarves. We also carry tie-dye dresses, shirts and tops. Everything in our store are made right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So come on over and check us out. We are located at the cruise ship berth in Kingstown, Island Style.
It's the Vin Abbott Show with news, views, and interviews. The music in the mix on Saturdays, 4 p.m. Concardi Radio.
Get ready for an enchanting evening at the SVG Association of Ottawa's Black Carpet Masquerade Gala. Join us as we celebrate the 45th anniversary of the association and the 45th anniversary of independence of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Mark your calendars for Saturday, November the 2nd, 2024, 6 p.m. in Ottawa, and prepare yourself for an inspiring night filled with awards, remarks, and live entertainment. This event supports the Scholarship Fund and the Beryl Relief Campaign, so your presence will make a difference. Don't miss this opportunity to shine and sparkle with us. Don't forget, Saturday the 2nd of November 2024. Prepare yourself for an unforgettable evening.
Greetings, welcome to the 7th program of Stepping into the Light with your host, Ross Bishai, at Bay Hill Radio, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, linked to Concardi Radio in Canada and Fun City Radio in New York for Tuesday, 24th September 2024. That was our theme song, Exodus by Bob Marley. So I'm saying Maatotep to all listening and following this program worldwide. It's good to be here with you again for another program. And I know that you are locked on, so link up all your friends and neighbors and those who you like to have listened to the program. And as per usual, we start with giving praises to the Almighty Creators and giving some respects to our ancestors, some of our ancestors. Isis, glory to the word, glory to the song, and glory to the power of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. Almighty Creators of the universe, I give thanks for your love, your care, and your guidance throughout the time, and for bringing I here for another program. Keep on shining thy light into I paths as I step into the light and onto Mount Zion. Blessed be the high rates of his and our imperial majesties, Haile Selassie and Empress Menen, one perfect balance. Blessed be the high rates of I ancestors in Neteru, which walk alongside I always, keeping I feet from slipping and falling, and I hands from picking and stealing, and I mouths from slander and idle speaking. And I call on the goddess Mat and the 42 divine ones from creation, keep I people firmly on the 7 basic principles of truth, order, balance, harmony, law, morality, and justice. Give I life over death, light over darkness, mind over matter, and good over evil every time. Ashe. Yes, we have to always give thanks and praises to the owners and operators of these radio stations that carry the program, Bay Radio in particular, and the other 2 links, and to the sponsors of the program, and of course to you, the listeners of the program who make it a reality. Yes. And I know that we have a few new listeners tonight, so welcome to the program. I hope that you will find it very informative and very interesting, and it will be your first of many programs to be listening to. And I must inform you, the listeners right now, that we have 2 very exciting set of guests to come up in the new month from the next program. Next program is starting on next Tuesday, the 1st day of October, 2024. And in that month, we have some very exciting guests. So you stay ready for them and make sure that you have everything arranged properly so that when the time comes, we just click that button and you're right into the program at Bay Hill Radio. So what are the happenings for tonight? Well, we have several. First of all, autumn is here, autumn 2024. Autumn 2024. Today is Tuesday, the 24th of September. Yesterday was Monday, the 23rd, and yesterday was known as the autumnal equinox. It was the beginning of what we call the short days. All countries which are on or about the equator in terms of latitude, they had 12 hours, equal hours of sunlight and nightlight from yesterday. It will get little less than that. The sunlight will decrease gradually, and the night darkness will increase gradually. Yes, right up until the winter solstice, which we will have around that time. That is in December. You will have the shortest days, daylight hours, the fewest number of daylight hours in the Northern Hemisphere. And they will start to increase slightly gradually right up until the vernal equinox, spring, in March next year, when you will have 12 hours daylight and 12 hours night, like this time in the countries on whose latitude are on the equator. And then it will start to get longer from there. So we are into what we call the short days. So today is the last quarter. And when we get into looking at the biodynamic planting by the Moonface Guide, we will tell you exactly how to handle this week. So what do you look for in the autumn? Or you look for instance in the Grenadines? You look for, well, the first couple of weeks And so the temperatures wouldn't be much different than what you had in the last couple of weeks. And you see how even today was hot and steamy. So you're still going to have that for a while. But it's going to get cooler and cooler and cooler. And you will notice it sometime later next month that the nights are getting a little cool and you have to now dress a little differently. For those people who live in the elevated communities over 600 feet altitude, they will feel it even more than us. Right? So that is what is going to happen. You're going to get cooler days and cooler nights in particular. Right up until winter, right up into the winter. And right down into the spring. So it's the start of the short days, and certain crops do flower and fruit and bear in this time of the year. We have the traditional crops, our traditional varieties of sorrel, and our traditional varieties of pigeon pea, to name a few, that will do that. Right? But normally this time is also the wettest, this time, October to November, is normally the wettest period of the year around here in this country. So still expect a lot of rain to fall in the month to come and in the next month. And it won't cut off until late September, or late November, or early December. But that is when we get those are the months when we get the heaviest rainfall and the most rainfall. So what you're going to do, what people like I and a few others are doing, is that we're making sure that we have some water storage capacity. We could store enough water in those months to use any dry months going forward, like late December, January, February, March, April. Those are the times when a lot of vegetables, which love the cooler weather, grow properly. And in order to grow them properly, they would need water. So it's best to store as much water you can store from now right up to, let us say, mid-December. If you do not have any storage, make sure you get some, and you're a real farmer, make sure you get storage. We're going to get into details on that a little later in the program, because genuine farmers are complaining that they are not getting what they're supposed to get, and the support which the Ministry of Agriculture said that they will give to these farmers. Farmers are being left out for non-agricultural reasons. We're going to get into that a little later in the program. Yes. So that is one of the happenings. Another happening which we will expand on later in the program a bit, and where next program or next two programs down the road, we will have one of our exciting guests to speak to you, is the new agricultural trading business which is operating in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Yes, we have some very exciting news on that, and we would like to give them as much exposure as possible on this program. They are already working on the ground, and these people are serious, so serious that they're going to be having a meeting with farmers already organized in North Leeward on Saturday, the 28th, Saturday coming here at 3 p.m. So those of you in North Leeward who are listening, remember, pass the word around. It's 3 o'clock at the Church of Christ, right near to the bus stop in Chatterville. Okay? So try and be there. This is something that you need to attend, and you will take it from there. This is intended to help all farmers in St. Vincent and Grenadines. Okay? We have the fourth the fourth Eastern Caribbean Central Bank International Netball Series from the 24th of September. It's taking place today. And I think we are playing Antigua versus Barbuda. I don't know what the score is, but the game is played already. But that's our game today. Antigua and Barbuda versus St. Vincent and Grenadines. So I'm wishing the national team all the best. We're going to look at some data from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, on St. Vincent and the Grenadines, from the World Fact Book. Many people don't even know that these things exist, so I'm going to highlight a couple of the pages of information here, right? This was last updated December 6, 2023. So we're going to look at some specific data from it and show you how it relates to the times we are in now, right now. What you're facing? What are you facing? Socially, economically, developmentally. We're going to look at that data, and I'm going to make the linkage between the data and the philosophy that is running this country and the exact time that we are in now to show you why things are the way they are. Of course, we're going to look at the biodynamic gardening, farming by the moon phase guide for the period Wednesday, the 25th September to Tuesday, the 1st October, 2024. We're going to be looking at that. And we're going to be explaining it and tell you exactly what to do in that period of time, from tomorrow till next Tuesday, the last days of September up to the first day of October 2024. And some news from the ministry, from the Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Sabota Caesar. For those who haven't seen it on the Facebook page. 2,000 banana and plantain farmers will collect inputs vouchers valued at over $2 million from today. That's today, the 24th, to Thursday, the 26th. Now, I have something to say about that post. I have something to say about that post, and I think I will say it now. Now, when I saw that post earlier today, nobody had commented on it at the time. And I felt compelled to comment on it. So I wrote my comments in good faith, and serious comments at that, as a guide. And lo and behold, when I looked at the post at about 10 minutes ago, the people who manipulate these posts didn't show it because what they put up was they call most relevant. And I mean, I wouldn't even say I failed to see. I mean, it's so ridiculous that you're putting up a post which is 100% true and which shows the direction we should go in, and they consider it not relevant. That is why we are where we are. That is why, well, most people in this country, and the economy and the country itself is where we are. Where we are, scraping the bottom of the barrel as far as real development goes for countries. That's where we are. In that post, what I said to the honorable gentleman, with due respect, is that handing out vouchers, input vouchers in itself, is not a bad idea. But what the vouchers are intended to do is not to transform the agricultural system, as he, as minister, and we as the government of this, has agreed to formally in the OECS, in a program called FAST, Food and Agriculture Systems Transformation. It's not transforming the system, not. All you're doing is reforming the system. And that would not solve the problems which are existing. That is what I said humbly. And to say that that is not relevant only shows the total misdirection of where we are going in this country. Whoever is manipulating or manipulating that particular page, Facebook page, please put up that post. Please put it up. Please put it up. I'm not begging, I'm just saying to you, the please is not a begging please. It's not a commanding please either. It's just for your own safety, because in this spiritual time, our ancestors are not joking. And if you're trying to hide vital information from our people to keep them backward, then the karma will come right to you, and you will be the one going backward. So I expect by the time this program is finished, the post will be up again. What you have to do is to reply to it as best you can. Okay. So in terms of that itself, the transformation, as I said in the last program, is what we need. And you haven't said transformation, you have to stick to your word. You have to keep your word. All the ministers in the region who gave that word have to keep their word. Some of them are trying their best. But definitely what is happening here, we are not keeping our word. We are trying to reform. Look at these two commodities you're talking about. We have 2,000 banana and plantain farmers. And we don't have one formal group in any one of them. Not to say, well, you have 5 groups of 400 people each in a group, or 20 groups of 100 people each in a group, so that you can meet with them and they could reason together and come to common decisions and forward these decisions to be implemented. All these banana and plantain farmers here are individuals in their own right, individuals. You have very little organization among them. The great majority are individuals. And we cannot carry on in this country, our agricultural system, with individuals. We have to have collective security. We had banana grouping organized before, when we used to send our bananas to England, and even up to the time when we used to send them to the EU, European Union. They were not the best, but at least they played a fairly important role for farmers. They met once a year as a grouping totally, and they knew exactly what was going on in the industry. There is no infrastructure like that now. There is no platform or forum for the farmers to come together and just reason about their business, their problems, their progress, whatever. So what you want to do, or what the system is doing right now, is just trying to reform what they're doing instead of transform it from a system of chaos into an organized system, something which has order about it. In terms of the inputs, I've been saying this on this program. This is the 145th program I am doing with this radio station since we started in 2021. And I've been saying it from day one. Our production system of crops in this country must change if we are to be sustainable and if we are to make a net earnings, not just in agriculture, but in health for our people. Our soils, most of our soils now are biologically dead. And all we are doing is feeding food that is filled with chemicals, and some of them toxic. And that is why we have such a poor health record right now among our people in this country. Poor health record. That is why we are so non-competitive in export markets. The two commodities you're speaking about now, banana and plantains, we cannot compete in the regional markets again. We have lost our markets. in Barbados, which is one of our main export area for a lot of things, and further afield in the region. And we have not been sending any bananas outside of the region or plantains. So this is not a call for reformation. This is a call for transformation. So that is, we the people have to make sure we get on that level. If we are going to make sure that we gain development and finance from our agricultural system. Okay? I think I want to give you, first of all, some info from the World Bank, the World Fact Book. And this will set the tone, this will set the whole program and the plate for what is to come future, in the future. Now, I'm just going to give you a bit of the information because there's a lot there, and I ask you to go and do some research yourself sometime later in the week. World Fact Book, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Now, here's what it says in the introduction. This is a bit of what it says. I'm not saying what they say is true. I'm just telling you what they say because they twist a lot of things to try and get us to think in a certain way. It's a resistance by native Caribs. Put that, native Caribs. That is, they calling the people who are here Carib. Prevented colonization by European slave masters on St. Vincent, until 1719. What they're saying is that because of the resistance of our people who were here at that time, the European slave traders and slave masters did not have a chance to colonize this country or to even set foot here properly, set up any business here until 1719. And those people who were here in 1719, who came here, were the French. And the first people they sent here were the priests and missionaries. And then an arrangement was made to allow them to lease some lands and do farming. And they brought in their own enslaved people with them. But the people who were native, our ancestors who were here, were never enslaved. Okay, so this says here again, disputed by France and the UK for most of the 18th century, the island was ceded to Britain in 1783. Now, that shows you the bare face of these European countries. Here is an island with native people living in it, indigenous people living in it, right, who own the island. But European countries are fighting for the country to control. And the French, as I said here, were leasing land. They didn't own the island. But the British and the French had a war up in the North Atlantic, up in Canada in particular. And the British won the war. And at a certain time, they asked the French to cede the island, to give it to them. They took the island. So they got it on some documents in 1783. But this is what I want you to pay attention to here now, this part. They said the British prized St. Vincent and the Grenadines. St. Vincent wasn't in Grenadines that time. St. Vincent, due to its fertile soil, which allowed for the thriving slave-run plantations of sugar. Well, sugarcane, they should have said there. But sugar is not a crop. Sugarcane is the crop. Coffee, indigo, tobacco, cotton, and cocoa. Let me read that again. The British prized I mean, they paid a lot. They put a lot of value. That is what they fought for. That is what they fought for. St. Vincent, due to its fertile soil, that is what they saw. Because the French were here first, and they saw the French was growing, and they wanted to come now and use the resources, the fertile soil, the climate, and so on, freshwater coast, which allowed for the thriving slave-run plantations. Thriving, mean you're making money. You're getting good return from the crop, from your investment of sugarcane, coffee, indigo, which is a dye. Use it in a dye to dye clothes. Tobacco, cotton, and cocoa. So there you go. Setting this, telling you straight up front, the same people who control the country under the guise of the crown, which we know that is no longer taking place with the awakened one. You hear them talk about crown lands. They are telling you the reason why they fought for this country to get it is because of the fertile soil. Now, old people in my time, when I was a youth, including my dear father, Almighty bless his soul, used to say all the time, people in Camden Park, land no rotten. That's how they used to say it, land no rotten, meaning the soil would be there all the time. So if the soil was fertile in that time, it's the same soil now, it could lose its fertility, but it could regain its fertility if we transform the system we use to care for it. So since we have that resource, why are the people and the various governments in the country for the last 30 years, 40 years, not using this resource as the base, the foundation of the economy and building in it? Why? Why are we to hear statements and philosophies like agriculture is a thing of the past, when the same fertile, the same soil, which could be very fertile again, is right here? It hasn't gone anywhere. And these are some of the things that we're going to get deeper into in the conversation, in the reasoning. Then one of the other facts they show you in the fact book is natural resources. What they list as the natural resources of the country. And they didn't include human resources here. They knew two natural resources. One is hydropower, meaning to say we have enough water, running water, to generate hydropower, hydroelectricity. Another one is, yes, you should have guessed it, you should have said it right now, arable land, mean lands which could be cultivated. Crops these are natural resources. These are the two natural resources they mentioned. And any sensible person would know, if you combine these resources together, your water source and your land, you should be one of the most productive, productive countries in the entire Americas. But we're not happening. Look where we are. Look where we are. The other information I want to give you from this is land use. And this information was estimated in 2018. This is the information I'm giving you. This is their information. This is not anything false. As I said, you want to check it? You want to verify it? You want to fact check it, as they say, in some big countries? You go on this line and you go on the web and you put up World Fact Book St. Vincent Grenadines, and it will come up there, one of the pages. Now, agricultural land, they said 25.6% of the total land mass of this island, main island, is agricultural land. Okay? A little more than a quarter is agricultural land. arable land, mean land which is actually used for agriculture, crops, right, is half of that, 12.8%. So what they're saying immediately is that we are only using half of the land, which is agricultural land, for agriculture. And over the 12.5%, it's like this. Permanent crops, 7.7%. And permanent pasture, 5.1%. So that is what we are using, what we were using in up to 2018. It says forest covers 68.7% of the total landmass. 68.7% is covered in forest. And other, whatever that means, rock outburst, whatever and so on, is 5.7%. You add all together, you get 100%. So agricultural land is a little over a quarter of the total land area on this island, mainland. And you don't have to have two eyes when to go wrong. Anywhere you go wrong, you see much, much less, much less than a quarter, even much less than an eighth of the country now in agriculture. You must ask yourself, why is this so? Why are we following that philosophy that agriculture is a thing of the past? And on the other side of it, importing up to almost $1 million EC a day in food. And look, you only have to stand up half an hour in Back Street. Stand up for 20 minutes in Middle Street. And stand up for another 20 minutes on B Street any given day. And look at the people passing, count them. And you would see it's more than half of the people in some cases, out of 100, more than 50%, who are overweight, who are obese. And who are not obese, suffering from some non-communicable disease. And a lot of these things come from the consumption of the imported foods. So who want our people to be sick? So, in addition to that, check the number of people begging for $1 or $5 or something on any given day. Any given day. We were never like that in this country before, because the earnings from agriculture used to flow through the country, not trickle, flow through the country, especially among the working class people on a daily, weekly, monthly, fortnightly basis, all the time. So everybody had something, and most people had things to give to other people. Not so in this time. Now, this says in 2016, this is the 2016 note now, another quotation from that same old fact book. They say obesity, adult prevalence rate. This is the rate among adults, the prevalence rate. 2016, this was, right? 23.7%. Meaning to say, out of every 100 people, at least 23 were obese. That was 2016. But what I'm saying to you, don't know, when you look into Kingston now, or for someone who travel on these vans, whether you're going to country or you're going to Leeward, like the vans now, which normally used to carry 4 passengers on a row seat, comfortable. Most of these vans now can't carry 3. When you have 3 people now, it's just a little jumbo little piece of seat leave. Nobody can hold in that, because our people now, obesity now is close to 55%, over 50%, moving from 23% in 2016 to now. You have to ask yourself, what are you eating? Where are the hidden products in these imported foods? What are they, and where are they coming from that getting our people obese and they're not doing? And obesity is not something nice, eh? It's not something to be proud of. It develops all different types of complications. Okay? So that is one fact to keep in mind. The other fact I wanted to keep in mind is that, remember I told you forest cover 60, this says forest cover 68.7%. But here what happened? The revenue from forest resources up to 2018 was only 0.02% of GDP. 0.02%, that is like a penny out of a dollar. The revenue from by far the largest land area, which is forest, 68%, 68.7, almost 69%, is only penny out of every dollar, according to the GDP, the gross domestic product. So you're looking at it from a sensible way. That's a total waste of precious resources. Because we know that the forests have a lot of resources which can be used sustainably. So why are we in this economy only making a penny, 2 cents out of every dollar from the 68, almost 69% of our land surface? Wasting time. Now, another fact, total water utilization. How do we use water in the country? How is water used in the country? Municipal, that means water that come to your house. 10 million cubic meters. And this is a 2020 estimate, just the other day. 10 million cubic meters. Some work for you again, find out how many gallons in a cubic meter and multiply it by 10 million. And you'll see how many million gallons we're talking about for the year. Right? 10 million cubic meters of total water withdrawn annually for housing, for house use, domestic use, municipal. Industrial, how much water withdrawn for industrial? 2,000 cubic meters. And that's a 2017 estimate. 2,000 cubic meters. And hold on to your seats. Agricultural. How much water is withdrawn for agricultural purposes? 0 cubic meters. And this is 2017 estimate. So like go by to our agriculture. Now here you have a country where this just said, as I quoted a while ago, that one of our resources is hydro power, hydroelectricity, right? That means to say you have enough water and water power to generate electricity. And we know that outside of that, we have a lot of other rivers which are not used for that. So we have an abundance of fresh water. Apart from that, the rivers, we have an annual rainfall which is over 90 inches per year, where water could be collected and harvested properly. Okay? And in this country, you're telling me that the use of water in agricultural sector is 0 cubic meters. That means to say we have no official state organized irrigation system in the country. Where the same country where the British prized the fertility of our soil. So why are we not using these two resources together to generate the billions of dollars that are there to be generated? I want you to answer the why. I hear some school children already answering why, and they're saying the why is because of the people now who are producing the food, who are not the people who are producing the food in the slavery and colonial days. The land now is being used by small, ordinary people, and they do not want these people to prosper economically or socially, because they would not be able to control them, with emphasis on the con, politically. And that is exactly the main reason. Because the land was under the crown then, and it was used for thriving slave-run plantations, and you heard the commodities I read out there. But now that that system is over, they want to use the same land, the same fertile lands now, and push on us their policy of tourism without agriculture. And you see you see the result. Yeah, you only have to go in town and spend 2 hours and you see the results right there. You see it from the time you get in the van from where you're traveling to, when you reach in town, and you're all over the town. We're in a mess. So that is why we, the people, have to work now to correct the mess in every aspect. We are the ones now who wear the crown. We have to make sure that we organize ourselves using the principle, one of the 7 basic principles, law, using morality and justice also, and make sure that we get control of the land collectively so we could use it for the real development of our people. Other than that, we're just wasting time. We're just marking time. Okay. So the GDP, gross domestic product, this is the final data I will give you for this. Composition by sector of origin. Composition of the gross domestic product by sector of origin. And this is 2017 estimate, just the other day, just about 7 years ago. Agriculture, 7.1%. Industry, 17.4%. And services, 75.5%. So they take the available workforce, most of it, and move most of it from agriculture, and a lot of it from industry, and they put it in services. And that is one of the reasons, not the only reason, but that is one of the important reasons why people who are now trying to invest in the agricultural sector in some way, whether you're a small farmer looking to clear some lands and prepare something, or a medium-sized farmer, or a group of investors wanting to get things produced for on a regular basis for outside market, one of the first problems you're meeting is you cannot find people to work the lands. And this is one of the reasons, because they have made that shift. The country government has made that shift from agriculture to services. And most of the services they're talking about now is hospitality services. And when we look at the structure of that hospitality services, the people who own most of it now, the big ends, are not Vincentians. So we know a lot of the money just going out. Going out. Have nothing against tourism. Tourism is a very important economic sector, but it has to be grounded on certain things. It can't be a standalone. It never works as a standalone. And as I said in a previous program, if the tourism industry, its foods are not, if 70% of its food is not sourced locally, then we're just wasting time with our tourism. Poorly organized. It must pull heavily from the agriculture and food sector. Must. Otherwise, we're just wasting time. So you have that background from the fact sheet, the fact book. So that when I start to show you where we need to go in order to transform this system into a walking system where everybody could feel comfortable, knowing that the food you have to eat in your home or in a restaurant, a itel shop, or wherever you go to buy food, the food is healthy and you are getting value for your money. And that at the end of the day, when you walk down the road, the obesity rate among our senior people, our adult people, would be less than 10%, or to be in a single digit percentage. Okay? And it will be easier to deal with, and it will be much less of a strain on our health services. So also would be all the other non-communicable diseases. Diabetes, hypertension, stress, heart failure, all these things. Blood issues, all these things will be much less. And we will be a much healthier nation and a happier nation. But when you go around pushing these kind of policies where the majority of people are discouraged from getting into the agricultural sector for no proper reason, then you are making it much more difficult to attract any sort of investment into the sector. And you're giving the people false impression that people in other countries are not in need of our agricultural produce, when it is quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. So we're going to look into some of these things. Before we wouldn't handle the reduction guide until the second part of the program. What I want to say, is that you listen out there, I would ask all of you, whatever announcements, whatever, to contact Bay Hill Radio. Give them some business. Give Bay Hill some business. Right? And whatever little support, however small, you can give to this program, send it to Bay Hill, because we want to be able to be here every Tuesday, by the grace of the Almighty, giving you the correct information, up-to-date information, and bringing people to you, interesting people, like the people we have lined up to come in a couple of weeks coming. Vincentians, people of this land. Well, I'm using Vincentian as a term that you would understand. But people like us here, who will tell you of the lovely things they are engaged in order to improve the standard of living in this country, in order to improve this financial and social status of the majority of people in this country, as well as the health status. And not just of this country, but our people also in the diaspora. So right now, I'm going to take a pause and I'm going to ask the station for some ID and give our sponsors a time to air their ads. And when we come forward, we get to do the second half of the program.
Looking for a place to relax with natural cool breeze and friendly surroundings? Then check the Bay Hill Tree Bar, located at Bay Hill Cane Garden. We have everything a bar will have. We also sell Shell 20 pounds cooking gas at the Bay Hill Tree Bar. Hi friends, what's happening in your corner? Beta group meeting, a sporting activity, a community activity, some upcoming event. Whatever the happening in your corner, let us know. We'll share it on Concardi Radio. So email us at concardi.radio@gmail.com. That's CANCARDI.radio@gmail.com. We are in your corner. Looking for a place to relax with natural cool. It's the Vin Abbott Show with news, views, and interviews. The music in the mix on Saturdays, 4 p.m. Kankadi Radio.
Boost your brand's visibility with Branding by Weeks. At Branding by Weeks, we are passionate about helping brands gain exposure and make a significant impact. Let us elevate your brand's visibility and reach new heights. Connect with us today by email at spweeks@hotmail.com or message us on WhatsApp 613-866-8939.
Island Style Souvenir and Clothing Store. We carry everything you need in souvenirs. T-shirts in all different sizes, cap, keychains, key rings, plaques and banners, magnets, ID holders, mugs, and we even carry St. Vincent flag. And that's not all. We carry Hawaiian style t-shirts and dresses, handbags with matching scarves. We also carry tie-dye dresses, shirts and tops. Everything in our store are made right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So come on over and check us out. We are located at the cruise ship berth in Kingston, Island Style.
Join your host, Ross Bishai, for Stepping into the Light at Bihil Online Radio and Kankadi Radio. Ross Bishai steps into the light of food and agriculture, culture and liberty. Stepping into the light lifts the level of your self-consciousness, activates your collective security genetic code, raises your earthly vibration. To win in this Armageddon, you must listen to Stepping into the Light with host Ross Bishai. Yes, we are here again. So we're going to get into the biodynamic gardening or planting by the moon phase guide for the period Wednesday the 25th September, that's tomorrow, to Tuesday the 1st October 2024, next Tuesday. Okay? So we just started this phase of the moon today. It's called the waning crescent. Waning crescent. Okay? Because we moved from the waning gibbous, which was just after the full moon, until yesterday, until today rather, which is the last quarter. And from tomorrow, it's moved from the gibbous stage to the crescent stage. If you look at the moon when it comes up, you will see the difference in shape, and you will see definitely the difference between what is termed gibbous and what is termed crescent. Now what is happening here is that the gravitational pull, the inhaling of the earth now is getting a little weaker. It's the barren phase in terms of, we're speaking now in barren in terms of the health giving properties of the food. If you set seed in this time, yes, they will germinate, but they will not have the life force like if you set them at the right time. That is why I say barren. They lack certain mystics in the food. You and I didn't make them. That was how the natural mystic made them. That is how this earth works. That's the linkage, the harmony. The harmony you get from the positive vibes and the other vibes. So you use the moon phases for certain things. So this is a time to rest and avoid seed sowing. Remember I said seed sowing. Not a good time to sow seeds. Yes, it's a good time to transplant seedlings and so on. But to sow seed, not a good time. It's an excellent time to harvest and store crops. It's an excellent time to fertilize and to destroy weeds. That is why you find in the early days, you would hear the older people in the village saying, yeah, I'll go in and weed and mold and throw some manure in this back moon. That is what they used to say. It didn't make much scientific, well, it made sense to us in a way as children, but we didn't really get to the fullness of it until we came older. To know that they're using the lunar gravity to the best way they know how to use it, the best way, the natural way. So this is the time to weed and mold and fertilize your whatever you're growing. Best time. Also to transplant seedlings or trees or whatever, but not to set seed. It's a great time, as I said, to weed. You have piece of land to clean up. This is the time to clean it up. I don't mean with herbicides, toxic herbicides, which will kill the biology in your soil. I mean to do it mechanically or manually. Okay? It's also a good time to mow lawns and to prune. And that will hold right up until Tuesday next week. Monday the 30th of September is an excellent day if you're going to use your biopesticides to spray, to do pest management. Monday the 30th. Excellent day because of the line alignment of the constellation. So if you're going to be using your neem or whatever other biological spray you have, your peppers, seasoning, whatever you mix or whatever you purchase commercially, which is organic, which is biological, Monday the 30th is an excellent day to apply them. Don't forget that. Whatever it is you're doing, make sure you put some food in the earth. Because as I said, as you heard me say, much less than half of the lands we could plant are arable lands is actually in food. We have quarter of the country at least, because when they're checking, they're not even checking the mountain lands, which are under bush now, which some of them might call forest, which our ancestors used to farm in days gone. Because of lack of access to roads and other things, why people are not using them now. But apart from our forests, which must be there, we should have at least 30 to 40% forest cover in any country properly. We have 69 almost, and we're not making any money from it. The lands that are there, we have to optimize the use of them and produce foods, and we can do that. Clean foods, organic foods, to suit the customers out there in the outer world who are literally crying out to taste some of that food. And as I will explain a little later, we have not set the pattern, the state, the country, governments, I should say, this and the last one, have not set the pattern, deliberately not set the pattern for our people to productively invest in the agricultural sector here. So investors now are finding it hard, but lucky for us, a lot of them are persistent, and that it should be, because they see the potential here in investing in the sector to satisfy market demands outside. And we have to support them in every way possible. Okay? So, yes. Here we go now. We're talking about transformation. We're talking about food, FAST, which, whether they like it or not, they have said it, is the official order of the day. We're not talking about food and agriculture reformation, system reformation. We're not talking about SAFR. Not at all. We're not reforming anything at all. We are transforming. Now, what are some of the obstacles in the way here to attract readily and productive investment in the agricultural sector? The first one you have is a lack of up-to-date data on the sector itself. how many real acres we have out there, what commodities occupy what number of acres, what are the categories of farming we have out there, like below 1 acre, 1 to 3 acres, 1 to 2 acres, 2 to 5 acres, over 5 acres, how many people are active in this? Information that investors would like to have so that they could plan properly immediately in it and know where to put their trust, the investment trusts easily. We don't have that data because we have not had a census during the life of this administration, an agricultural census. Now, we have not. So that data needs to be found. That data needs to be worked on. And the only way the investor could get onto that now is to go in different communities and meet with the farmers and get directly from the farmers' mouth exactly what is happening. And that is a costly and time-consuming activity, but it has to be done. There's no other way around it right now. And talking about meeting farmers, as I've been saying several times, there are no farmers organizations or farmer individuals in this country which has a meeting place that they can call their own. So like the meeting that is going to take place on Saturday, 28th here, has to take place in a church. I'm not saying anything is wrong with a church. What I'm saying is that the farmers, our farmers in this country collectively own nothing, no infrastructure they could call their own. And that's a bad thing because it goes right to the root of what they said when I read out the fact sheet, the history. The British prized, the same British who want to run this country now, prized this country for its fertile soil. So what happened? The price gone? So what about the monies that were generated from the fertility of the land over the hundreds of years? How come the farmers in this country do not own a building of their own anywhere where they could have meetings like the one proposed? So you could say, okay, well, or the public, go to Chateaubriand and this facility there is for the public use, including farmers, and you could have your meetings there. No, there's nothing like that. We hear them talk about community centers, and the only community meeting in them centers right now is the government people. They come the community now. Yeah, the community, we have a community center in Camden Park here, built several years ago, refurbished, rebuilt. And they have not had a community activity in that center. What the government does is use it as how they feel like. That's the sort of governance we have in this country, Because the community itself had very little say, no say at all, in the structure, the shape, or the use of that building. But they use the term conveniently, community center. And it's happening all over the country. So that is two of the problems that investors would face. Other problems include lack of critical infrastructure in many farming areas, which are affecting the farmers in terms of the efficiency of farming, getting inputs and products in and out of the farming areas, because they have literally either no roads or very poor roads, feeder roads, not motorable roads. So that is another problem that has to be taken up front. The farms themselves on the farm have very little development because the program that the European Union wanted us to implement when the banana regime was being changed in the early 1990s, and we said we were going to a fair trade system, or we were going to a system where they use good agricultural practices. That system was not implemented in any proper way in this country. And it's We're, right now, we're feeling the backlash of that. Most farmers in this country should have already had a GAP certificate, good agricultural practice certificate for their farm. But for reasons like this, it never took off. Because the basic aim, the basic objective of the system is not really to promote agriculture. But most of our people fail to see that. Yeah, they will see a political bait or sweet talk 15 times as fast as they would see that, and they would react to it. And at the end of the day, it looked nice and looked sweet, but it bit in your belly. And that's where we are, where we are. We fall for sweet sounding words, but we're not really looking for real development issues that would take us from the bottom of the barrel where we are to somewhere at the top where we could be much better off. So we, the people now, collectively have to take ourselves there, because the system, not just has failed us, we see the system basically, and we have proven it to be a fraud, but we're not giving up, because the earth abided forever. Everybody knows that. It's written all over. And everybody who go to church and these kind of things would know that if they really know what's in the book. So the earth ain't going anywhere. And we are the people of the earth. So we have to make sure that we live from, with, by the earth. Because we are the earth and the earth is us. Okay? Right. Social problems that investors would face and have to pay attention to. The number one social problem affecting the agriculture sector is predial larceny. And no one hand could clap in this. So going forward, the farmers have to work with themselves together, with each other together, communities, and they will get the information, the guidance. The state must support that work with that is what one of their responsibilities. They have to live up to their responsibility now. Provide that work with safeguarding the farmers and their produce from people who would do these acts. A lot of people out there who don't want to work, lazy and greedy and worthless. They want to live off the fat. They don't want to plant the corn, but they want to raid the barn, as the song says. And they are encouraged, they are on all levels, those who do it and those who receive the stolen goods. As they say, all catapult. So we have to mash up that matrix totally. But that should not deter an investor, because there are ways that things could be done and put in place to minimize that and eventually eliminate it. But be aware that that is one of the problems you're going to be facing. Another problem, which has shown its head in recent times, is one of security of tenure on the farmer's part. Contract with farmers to produce a commodity. And in order to have consistency of supplies, you need a certain total acreage. So you organize everything to this acreage. And while you are in it, and things are looking like they're going right, you hear that 15% of that acreage is gone because the lands owned by these farmers collectively or individually have been taken away by the state for non-agricultural purposes. Just like that. That upsets the whole apple cart. So in going forward, we have to have the word and the trust of the people and at all levels and those who govern to ensure that this random thing would not take place. Other than that, you would hardly get investors coming in here and in that uncertain environment. serious investors. Because when people invest, they don't want to be waking up in the middle of the night and wondering if some group of smart politicians are trying to undermine the investment. Neither are the farmers, the producers. So these things have to be well cared, well cleared before much could be done. At the same time, the pressure is on the investor to get things going because the market is an active one and it don't wait on anybody. It doesn't tolerate a vacuum. So in order to make the best use of time, different and creative strategies have to be put in place. In terms of the problem, the other social problem, getting people who really want to work on the farm, whether as agricultural workers in terms of husbandry, crop husbandry, animal husbandry, land preparation. People even go in other countries to do these things. There's nothing degrading in these things. As a matter of fact, these are among the most important jobs in the world right now because food is still the most important commodity. And the drudgery is being taken out of it. Not so fast in this country, but in other countries. In that the tools that the people, the workers will be using are modernized. So it's not a laborious effort. It's much more worker friendly. From the simple weeding tool, hand tools, to the land preparation tools. When I was a youth, all they had were big tractors. Now you have small machines. Yes, some of them walk behind, and they could go in almost every terrain that we have to prepare the lands. We have different techniques. We have cover crop mulching. We have all these other things. We have things like making composting techniques and so on. You have biopesticides. You have intercropping. You have a lot of different techniques now that farmers and workers will find attractive. And while we are the workers, remember that one of the disincentives for workers is the low remuneration. So the remuneration, that is the pay for peace, for work done by the agricultural workers, has to be made much more attractive and worthwhile. At the same time, the agricultural worker has to put out the quantity and quality of work necessary to the investor to justify that pay. So you find the balance there, so that at the end of the day, everybody is happy. Those who pay for the worker is happy, and those who do the work and receive the money are happy. And the product comes out well, and the consumers, the buyers, the marketers and the buyers are happy. That is quite possible. It's working in other countries. We have to make it work here. That is where we have to go. To do that, what is needed? This particular aspect of getting young people, because I don't know if I read that data to you, but the young people here in St. Vincent, the estimate in that same fact book show that 41.6 of our people from over 15 years to 24 years, our youth, are unemployed. They're not working anywhere. Then we know from visual what we're seeing 2-3 times a year when they send people on the road to work, road gangs. A lot of the people who are working on the road gangs right now as we speak, are not 35 years old yet. There are people who have come out of schools with high level of academic training, but very little, if any, practical skills training, technical training, but high level of academic training. They would tell you how many subjects they have, right? At every different level. But they cannot find employment in the system. Because the policy in the system is not to promote agriculture. And the agriculture that is there, they're not making it worker friendly. and walk attractive for the people coming in. So we now have to look at these things and address them to make them both walker friendly and walker attractive. So that when people see that, they will come here and readily want to invest because our lands are capable of being the most fertile in the entire region. We have to restore the fertility of the soil, all our soil, agricultural soils. We have to make sure we get the right type. We have to have sovereignty over our planting materials. We are not dependent on any big country for seeds because they would want to send us seeds which we don't want. And we don't need genetically modified, these sort of transgender seeds and all these kind of things. We're not getting into that dark science. We are old people. We are staying with the grace and the blessings of our creators and the guidance and togetherness of our ancestors. We are staying that way in the light and clean and free. That is how we are staying. So in order to do that now, we have to start training. And apart from the percentage of young people who are unemployed, the majority, there are more women, more female unemployed than male. So there are a lot of young women out there who can find very attractive and well-paying jobs in the agricultural sector once we transform it to that level. That is what we have to do, transform. We're not waiting in the system to do it. They are not going to do it. They're only saying that, but they don't mean it. We mean it. So we have to retrain. We have to use that academic base that these people have. It means to say when you start telling them about measurements in agriculture, square feet or square meters, or rods or poles or whatever measurement you use in gallons, tablespoons, cubic centimeters, whatever measurement you're using. They have already covered that in their academic trust. What they need now is the agricultural science methodology. And methodologies, agriculture and food science, because we're talking also about the value-added sector. We're not just talking about the production sector. We're talking about all the sectors, all the services, systems. We're talking about the management system. Right? We need to train our people additionally in those areas. And it's a good thing that a lot of them have this academic base. They're not coming new, so they're not strangers to being taught. It's just that the agenda they're being taught now and the curriculum is much different than the one they're being taught academically. But they could apply all of that to learn it and learn it quick. Yes, like this meeting that our new group of investors is having on Saturday. The system should have, where we should have been is that 2 or 3 farmers groups in North Leeward who have been organizing their members, their membership to come to this meeting in droves. So that when they leave there now, they leave there fully knowledgeable of what the investors need. And they could go in their own little gatherings now and decide among themselves how best they are going to organize themselves to produce, to take advantage of the opportunity and make business out of it, a productive business. This is where we have to go. So someone now has to train these people. And as I said in at least one program, I have been working on that in terms of the planning, and I hope that I will have the resources soon. Soon meaning within a couple of months, to implement that program where I can train at least 400 people, young people, a year, in the various aspects needed to develop our agricultural sector. From group management, where you need people who know about organizing meetings, presidents, treasurers, secretaries, these sort of things. People who link with the public relations people and these sort of things. So that when meetings are called, it's not left on the ordinary farmer to do these things. There are a specialized group of people organizing these things on behalf of the farmer. And the farmer is getting that work done. But the farmer could spend more time now in production of whatever the commodities are. That is how it has to work. We have to train people in skills, land preparation skills. Yeah, we have to train people. We have to make sure that people are fit, because we see with these gangs now, people who go out any gang, if you look any community you go into now, you look at them. If they go out at 7 o'clock, by 8:30, most of them already done tired. And they're sitting down in some chair or just cooling out or something like that. Because they're not as strong as the youth of 2 generations ago. It's different food, they're eating a different diet. They don't get the energy from the food they're eating. What they get is bulk, but not energy, not vibrations, positive to live it up. That is why we have to transform the food into healthy food. And apart from that, they're suffering from some non-communicable disease, which we also right now are working hard to get the real medicines, not to treat them, but to cure them. Yes, I want to big up to our herbalist doctor. You all know who I mean, right? And hope that we get a couple more women like her with that vibration to carry on that very important work. Not just women, but family. Because it's not just a woman thing, it's a family doing that. I want to big up the whole family. And these are the people who need, these are the people, along with the farmers, who at this time need investment financing. But because the way the system is set up, it's very difficult to get. But we are working in it. We're working in it collectively, where we could be, as a nation, recognized officially, which we should be, by the international and regional organizations, and recognized as deserving of development financing, which we would show transparently that it's well spent. Yes, this is where we have to go. So even within the international organizations, they themselves also have to be transformed. They have to be transformed to do the work which they were initially set up to do. Now they have been hijacked by a few very speculative and individual rich people in the world to try and make the rest of the world like wage slaves. But we are getting out of that. That matrix is broken and we are getting out. That is why this program is called Stepping into the Light. So when we in this country organize ourselves properly, soon, collectively, and we send off a request to the Caribbean Development Bank, including our financiers, our investors, people who are hoping to invest, to support everybody, the investors, the producers, everybody, to support the state, because the state, the government has a role to play in terms of putting crucial, well-needed infrastructure in place. You don't expect an investor to come here in the agriculture sector and build feeder roads. No, that is something programmed. That is the responsibility of this government of the country, as well as a national water storage facility for agriculture. Right now, the World Fact Book is saying that you have no gallons, none at all, in a country like this. In a country like this. No wonder we have so many impoverished people. Our people are really poor, they are impoverished. They are forced to be impoverished by the policies handed down to administration like these from outside. So that is why we have to get rid of that system totally. And never mind what kind of politics we're talking. If you're not talking about transforming the system, you ain't talking to our people at all. You're just another word peddler. Never mind who you are. We have to transform everything in this country if we are going to make progress as a people. So those are a few of the things which we must put in place. We have to train people in using certain AI tools. Data right now has to be completely different, handled and managed differently. We need, some of the youth already have that, well, they have the inclination, but some have that training also. Computer science and artificial intelligence use. Computer science in that they use the data now, storage of data, presentation of data, treatment of data, use of data, using these gadgets. That is what we're supposed to bring our agriculture sector up to. So that when you go to a marketplace, like a public market, that could be one of the places. There is a board which lights up at certain times of the day. And it's one of the information coming into that. Commodities which will be available next week, next month, month after, the month after, and so on. So the vendors themselves could see exactly how the production system is lined up. You have to be wondering, I wonder who got orange to sell. I wonder if anybody a golden apple. You know who got cabbage? No. All that doubting thing has to come out. It has to come out because the basic data collected on the ground by these groupings, which you're going to train the administrators to administrate, they will be the first one keeping the data. When the data processors get that data and they push it up there on that lights thing, you don't have to go further than that. So a buyer or an investor knows exactly where to go to get what commodities, when, what is available. And it makes the work so easy, much easier. At the same time, if the investor is dealing with a group of farmers, that information also has to be collected both by the investor and the group of farmers collectively, so that they know exactly where they're going. These are the things we're talking about. Without that basic data, you don't know where you're going. You just spin it up in mud. You get lost. You make bad investments. So these are some of the training and retraining we have to teach our people. Application of inputs to crops. This is another area again where technology has revolutionized it so much now that it's not a thing of how much strength you have. So it's able now to attract women into it easily at a high level. Yes, that is where we're going. When it comes now to the other sector, you past production, you have marketing. Marketing involves a lot of different things. That is another area where a lot of these young people who are doing nothing now and have them there waste this resource wasting could be trained again or would be trained in an area to effectively work in marketing. From packaging and sorting right up to doing the paperwork to export and so on. Labeling everything. All these things are important in marketing. Advertisement, everything. All these are things that have to be done properly. Yes, in terms of livestock management, imagine they're saying here that so much of our land is in natural pasture. Okay? Permanent pasture, 5.1%. How much livestock do you see when you go out there now, people? If you drive from Kingston to Orange Hill, even though you go in, say you go in Mesco Valley and you go over the Marine, you come down in Greg's, you come out in Greg's, and you drive the rest of the main road, go up. You don't even have to go up in South Rivers Park in that area. How many head of livestock do you normally see right now? I'm sure you could count them on the hands. Because we have very little. So why we have all this pasture land and not you making it make use of it? Why we not put into proper upgraded pasture to feed our animals where the people who eat meat now love grass-fed meat rather than grain-fed meat. They pay much more money for it because it's healthier. So why have all these lands just lying idle? One on the other side, the manure from the animals would come now and feed into the production system of other crops. We're wasting time. Wasting a lot of time in the country. A lot of time. A lot of time. So those are some of the areas where people must be trained and should be trained. In terms of the transformation now, the people who manufacture, who add value to the raw products, transform the raw products from raw products to food and medicine. That's another area of employment. Right now, the people who have those things going they cannot go to any financial institution now, and within a matter of days, come out with a credit investment facility. Say, use it, add that so that you can move forward. Because in moving forward, you are pulling from the producer. Some might be in the wild, but some will be farmed, right? So you link, that's economic linkage right there. You're employing people to help you do this. Equipping, including another aspect of marketing and investment. And then you are distributing part of the marketing. Exchange earnings. But no, you cannot find a facility now that would accommodate and appreciate the need for the investment of this class of people to help them lift the business off the ground. That is transformation. That is where we have to go. That is where we would go. We're going to work on it. We're not going to give up. We are not going to give up. Because this Crown land system, this Crown system has failed us for generations. And we are not going to allow it to fail this present one and the next to come. We can't let people like Ocean and them suffer like how we suffering now. No, that will lift these youth, and they're already seeing it. The youth, a lot of the youths now, between 3 years and 5 years, some even younger than that. When you look into the eyes and you see the sparkle in them, you know they're not going to take the foolishness that the parents and the grandparents going through right now. To prevent any confusion down that road and then too much shedding of blood, we have to start to do our work to transform the system to avoid all those confusions that could come up if we sit by and do nothing at all.